key takeaway. People think marketing is easy. They want to help, but you've got to take their feedback. But remember, you're the expert. You're the person in charge. You're the person who is not only in charge of this thing that's thought of as a soft thing, you're in charge of bringing it to life and making it a real thing. And if you water it down with bad ideas, if you water it down with yes sir-isms, if you become a simple yes man, you are the reason why agencies fail, and you're the reason why marketing fails, because you're just doing whatever is asked of you. You're an order taker, and order taking is the great failure of marketing. So that's what we've got. We'll jump into some questions. But before I go, if anybody wants to come and check out Ad-versary, we are at ad-versary.com. Yeah, adversary.com was taken, so we have a hyphen. And come and check us out. And if you check us out, fill out a form, we'll do a quick consultation with you, and you get one free tactical teardown, landing page, PPC creative, anything like that. We'll do a teardown for it against best practices and see, take it for what it's worth. And if you like what you see, we'll do some more work with you.
Love it, Will. Thank you so much. It just seems like you don't like to mince words.
I do not like to mince words. I do not, and I feel like I've even tried to mince a few here, but no.
It's funny. Matt was saying in the chat, you might have the spiciest, boldest, and hottest take yet.
Oh, that's awesome! Cool. Well, I'm happy to be here and offer it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I love everything about it, by the way. It's interesting because it feels like one of the emerging themes is, you were mentioning this, like if someone mentioned those 4 words, there might be a knowledge gap, right? Yep. Let's put it that way. And so it's an opportunity to understand one of my frameworks is go back to first principles. Like, yep. What do you mean? What are you trying to achieve? What do you want to unpack? Like one of the things that happens all the time is, oh, I read this on this blog. Sounds awesome. Should we try it?
So many times. How many, like every marketer here who's worked on the agency side or the brand side has had somebody come in and say one of 3 things. 1, I read it in an airplane magazine. If I hear read it in an airplane magazine, I automatically know I should just quit. I should just go away.
The customer.
Yeah, exactly. 2, I read it on a blog. That's at least, somebody's online, and that makes
some work
better, right?
Yeah.
And 3, hey, I saw this when I was driving into work today, or I heard this on the radio or something like that. Well, those are all great things. They're all couched in decent, like, all right, there could be something there. But the reality is you've taken something so immensely out of context and immediately applied it to your business. It flouts any sort of rational kind of sniff test at all. Yeah. And so we run into that so often. And it just, it says the best gift that they can give you, though, is to say that and bring you a stupid idea, because you can automatically figure out that idea is bad. This is why that person thought that idea was bad. And let's help you get to a place where you can make it right.
Right. And so, like, on top of that comment around understanding more where they are coming from, what they mean, what do they want to achieve, that first principle type of conversation, like you were mentioning in that last part of your recommendation, like doing your own work, being able to articulate why you've been doing what you've been doing, which I think it's also absolutely spot on. One thing I'm wondering, and, to some degree, it's an opportunity to educate on, hey, it's not as easy as you think it is, or it's not as, the thing that you have in your mind. That's not reality. That's not how it works.
Right.
So question around to which degree after the fact versus before the fact, like, do you have a framework for it? Do you do it? Like, because to some degree, one could argue that if you have to articulate what you've done after you've done it, maybe you should have mentioned that earlier, like take the opportunity to educate that before the fact.
Definitely. And, so it's interesting because you definitely need that opportunity before the fact, but you're still going to run into this kind of editorial after the fact. Right. So no matter how much front loading you do, this is why we're doing it. This is what it is. This is what it is. When you hear those words, that somebody's coming at it from a place of ignorance automatically, right? So no matter how much you front loaded it, obviously there's a delta that got missed somewhere, or that somebody's created their own delta, that their own variance, their own white space that they're looking to fill and pack that in. And the reality is some of the work you can do at the front, some of the work you're going to have to do at the end. And the best thing you can do is pay attention and look to see what kind of argument you're going to have to make to get it where you need it to be.
And also, like, to some degree, I don't know if I think you would agree with this, but just want to validate that. The fact that there might be, like, if these 4 words come up in between the process, there might be a symptom of like a lingering misalignment of some kind that was not addressed.
Misalignment, miscommunication, lack of communication upward. That's one of the big things that happens more often than not, is you're dealing with a team here, then you present to a team here, or you deliver to a team here, and that team here has not communicated back down to you what they're seeing above them. And so when you present to that higher level has a whole different idea of what they're expecting. You've not been communicating with them, or they've not been communicating with you, whatever. That communication has just gone away.
There's a gap somewhere. Yeah.
There's a gap somewhere. And that happens more often at the C level than anywhere else. And so we jokingly say, well, the C level is where the like, they don't know anything, man. They're the ones who say it the most. But the reality is the C level is the most disconnected from the actual work.
Yeah, and the ones that need to abstract the most as well, because they're doing too many things. So wait, it's on them to do the work to understand, or it's on you to be able to explain?
It's on us, but honestly, the biggest problem is it's FaceTime, and it's the ability to be able to find that time to connect and make it. Because and then a great example of this are websites, right? Websites are the most. Everybody has an image of what a website is, but if I came to you and said, Armando, we're going to build a new website for breadcrumbs.io, and here are the 54 things we're going to do on it, there would be a 55th on there that you had thought about, but maybe you hadn't mentioned, or it didn't pop into your head until we were in the final creative review, and or anything like that. And that's where that happens.
And also, like, thinking through this out loud with you seems like there is oh my God.
You just caught yourself, didn't you, buddy?
It just seems like that there is a level of abstractions, like translation needed in between the two, right? So there is a role for a person, because, like, for the C level to understand, you need to be able to synthesize stuff and to summarize stuff in an effective way. Because time window is so short, and there is so many other things happening all the time.
Right. Well, and a great example here is a C-level disconnect between on a chatbot. Recently, I was working with a company who had a great chatbot on their website, right? And the CEO said, "Well, how often is this manned?" And my answer was, I think, based on what I've seen, it's only manned about 8 to 10 hours a day, based on U.S. time zones. And he said to me, he looked at me and he said, it was literally a few days before I had this conversation with you, it just seems like we could have that staffed all the time. Well, it does seem like that. It does seem completely capable of that. And when he looked at me and said that, I said, well, it just seems like you should probably talk to your call center and make sure that staffing is happening all the time, because it's not a question of marketing. It's not a question of anything like that.
And what's the cost associated with that?
What's the cost associated with it? What's the manpower associated with it? Do you offshore that? Do you do da? And it was a lack of appreciation for the fact that he had a VP make a series of decisions. That VP had communicated it to him, had not communicated it to him, whatever that math was on that. And where the end result landed turned out to be a place where he had an expectation for something that was untenable within his organization, but he didn't have an understanding of the inability to be able to make it happen.
Right. Will, this was awesome. Thank you so much for this.